the whole Declan Rice transfer saga has to be wrapped up quickly or not at all, as far as I'm concerned, if reports are to be believed, and a large part or most of our summer transfer budget, kitty, whatever you want to call it, is made up of the money that we bring in from Declan Rice, then it's really advantageous for West Ham to get that sorted and get it sorted quickly. The last thing West Ham needs, because let's be fair, we're good at a diver anyway, a good diver and a delay. The last thing we need is to start selling Declan Rice sort of towards the end of July, start of August, something like that. That gives us no time to get our targets in. Well, even if you assume that we've identified our targets, that gives the other clubs that are after the same targets as us plenty of time to get those players in. We've already got one hand tied behind our back with the fact that we're waiting for this director of football to come in. He's not in yet, and we're delayed. We're delayed in our purchasing. There's no doubt about that at all. Declan Rice money coming in late only delays it further. Now, the latest news on it, and I say the latest news, I do actually really want this story to go away. I want him to stay. I desperately want him to stay. If he's not going to stay, I wish he'd go and sort of go, soonish and sharpish. The latest story is that he's turned down Bayern Munich. And he just wants to go to Arsenal. That's it. His father, who acts as his agent, is in, what do they say, extended, prolonged, well-established, developed negotiations with Arsenal. So I think that's pretty much it, really. It seems like Declan and his dad have both decided that what they want to do is go to Arsenal. Apparently, Mauricio Pochettino at Chelsea is not interested at the moment. He's got a big rebuild on, and they don't have Champions League football anyway. Apparently, Bayern Munich tried really hard. Now, as it stands, Bayern Munich were ready to bid, or had bid, 85 million. I think that's at least prompted Arsenal to maybe up their £85 million bid to 90 million. What I'd say with 90 million is it's starting to get towards what we probably would want. I never thought we'd get 120 million, don't get me wrong, but it's probably starting to get towards there. It looks, for all intents and purposes, like he is going to go to Arsenal. But it was very much that Tomas Tuchel at Bayern Munich really had a real attempt this week to try and schmooze Declan Rice. He really did. He was just blowing smoke up his what's-it, quite frankly. Telling him what he would do, telling him what he'd do. I don't sound too crazy. Tell him how he would incorporate him in the team, what he saw as Declan's role at Bayern Munich. Anyway, turns out that Bayern Munich, number one, are keeping Goretzka, who's a really big player, really important player for them. And number two, they weren't able. Tuchel, despite all his charms, was not able to schmooze Declan Rice. Actually, talking about schmooze, before I forget, because I will forget this, the Fiorentina coach, where was it? I bookmarked it. The Fiorentina coach dubbed David Moyes as one of England's best coaches. Now, there's a man that knows how to schmooze. There's a man that's just trying to deflect anything. He don't want any nastiness. He's playing ultra nice. So, he's obviously a good schmoozer as well. Tuchel was a good schmoozer, but obviously not a good schmoozer enough. Declan doesn't want to go. Declan feels that his game won't develop well enough in the Bundesliga, so he wants to stay in the Premier League, wants to stay in London as well, cuts it right down for us. Now, don't get me wrong, I would never criticise any player for staying anywhere or going anywhere for family reasons. I've always been shocked as someone, that has had young children myself. Most of them are grown up now, to be fair. I've always been shocked how readily footballers are willing to take their kids out of school and move them every 2 or 3 years and change their friendship groups, new schools, things like that. So I never blame any player for wanting to stay put and think of family first and that sort of thing. Good on him. But it does limit West Ham's options quite substantially. Actually, there's little doubt about that. 85 million from Bayern Munich, not enough. 90 million from Arsenal. I think we're getting close, as I say. If I was guessing, I reckon 95 million might do it. We might have to shake hands and say yes and do the deal just so we can get that deal over the line. We've been one of the players there's going to be... I've sort of stayed off this rumour, which is James Ward-Prowse, as much as I can. It's just been going on for so long and I find it boring as well. I'm not particularly thrilled at the prospect of the signing. It has to be said, although I don't doubt the player's proficiency from set plays, not at all. I think we'd be absolutely lethal from them, certainly if we retain someone like Souček. Whether I don't think that's a great midfield, by the way, Souček and Ward-Prowse, but I'm talking about Souček's heading prowess with Zuma and and some of the other guys that are in there as well. I think would be a real threat from set pieces again. But I think you do sacrifice an awful lot in open play if you have Ward-Prowse and Tomas Tuchel as a central midfield pairing. There's little or no doubt about that. Just in case you didn't see it, myself and Gio had a little interview with Julian Dix yesterday, which was great fun. Really enjoyed it. If you haven't seen it, go and check it out. It's over on the main channel. What we are doing at the moment is we're having a little private signing session with Julian. So if what you want to do is buy yourself some Julian Dix merch, he's got a new book coming out in a week's time. That's going to be really good. If you've seen the interview, you're going to know he's not going to pull any punches in that book, that's for sure. We got some Canning Town Len artwork, which will be signed by Julian Dix. You know it'll be signed, you'll know it'll be authentic because we're actually going to get it signed by him. We'll take pictures and all that sort of thing. And we're actually got some Julian Dix retro shirts signed by him. The great thing is if you are a member of our Patreon and signed up to our Patreon and you're an addict, all patrons get a form of discount. But if you're a patron addict, which is our highest ranked tier in Patreon, as patreon.com/hammerschat, you get 30% off. That's £45 off of a Julian Dix signed retro shirt, which you get your money back pretty much straight away. About 3 months' money back, in fact, from signing up as an addict on the Hammers Chat Patreon. Go and check it out, and if you go into hammerschatstore.com, you can go and start buying some of this Julian Dix stuff on pre-order. So the James Ward-Prowse stuff is just everywhere at the moment. I'll tell you what was interesting when we did interview Julian Dix, actually, where we put it to him. He didn't know about the Mikel Antonio interview and what he'd said in the podcast and whatnot. And when we explained what he'd said about Scamacca, and about David Moyes, basically he was critical of David Moyes'. What he said was critical of David Moyes, and it was critical of Scamacca as well. But it was very much Julian's thoughts that what he should do is David Moyes should probably drag him in his office and fine him for undermining the manager. Now, don't get me wrong, and I did make this point in the video because a lot of people did come back on the video and say, well, I thought Mikel Antonio was right. So did I, and I said so on the video. Okay, that wasn't really what it was about. It was about how that will be perceived by Scamacca and David Moyes. That's going to be an interesting one. I don't think David Moyes is in a position of strength. He needs Antonio, and Antonio knows it very, very much. So, hey, Antonio plays. It's as simple as that. Antonio plays in the conference final, and so he should. He's our only option. I mean, what do you want? Mikel Antonio or Danny Ings starting up front? Nothing wrong with Danny Ings at all, but let's be fair. As Mikel himself pointed out, he doesn't, it's only really Antonio that suits David Moyes' system. What else have we got? Yeah, we've got some James Ward-Prowse. We've been linked with the James Ward-Prowse. Apparently Newcastle are in for him, and this is the funny thing. Southampton want to sell James Ward-Prowse to Newcastle. So why would they want to do that? I don't know. It wasn't particularly well explained. Wolves are in for him. Aston Villa are in for him. He's a really good player. Maybe I was a little bit unflattering towards him. Really, but I think we need legs. I really do. I think we need legs in midfield. The one player I saw that we've been linked to, I thought, oh yeah, he's quite good, and would really add to us, was that. Was the American lad who plays in Spain, Yunus Musa? I think that might be his name. When I looked at him, well, yeah, he'd be quite good. I think we were crying out for some athleticism in the middle of the park. So anyway, look, this is going to roll and roll, and I don't mind the transfer window stuff going on and on and on. I really don't. The Declan Rice stuff. It needs to be sorted out. It really does. And like I've said, I won't spend ages repeating myself. We do have 2 years with the player. If we don't get what we want from Arsenal, then we just got to draw a line and say, no, he's not going this season. As I've mentioned on numerous times, what we're going to do, accept 85 million now or keep Declan Rice for another season and 60 million. You still get 60 million for Declan with a year left on his contract. The club just needs to play a little bit of hardball on this, to be a little bit resolute and not leave ourselves in a tricky position. Anyway, I'll be back in a couple of days. Got a few things I want to discuss, actually, which is another contract situation, which is going to come to the boil just as juicy as Declan Rice, actually. And really to sort of sit here and consider how many players do we actually need in the next transfer window.